Thank you very much, Elizabeth, for those complimentary and wonderful words. I am very pleased to be here today with you to honor the remarkable academic and creative achievements of the USC School of Cinematic Arts of the class of 2013. We celebrate you and your families and your friends and partners who have supported you throughout the last 4 years. We look forward to your successes and remind you that in times of challenge, your SCA family will be here to support you. SCA graduation ceremonies are always exciting. You are excited that you will receive your diploma. We are excited to welcome you as industry colleagues, and those who support you are excited about the front row seat they will have in witnessing your future endeavors. That excitement is therefore the byproduct from all of us realizing that this room is filled with what we call potential, and that potential will translate into innovative ideas that will transform our industry in the years to come. SCA has given you a diverse set of tools and skills which you have honed during your time here. Everyone here knows the trials you've faced. You'll now have the opportunity to take advantage of those years of practice, and I have no doubt that each one of you will find fulfillment in whatever you take on in the coming years. Today, it is my great pleasure to introduce someone who has been a trailblazer in her remarkable career, who has been honored for making empowering, inspirational, and thought-provoking films and television programs. Stacey Sher is a two-time Academy Award-nominated producer, most recently at this year's Academy Awards for Django Unchained. Stacey was also nominated as a producer of Erin Brockovich in the year 2000. Her other credits include the Academy Award-nominated films Out of Sight and Pulp Fiction. The Independent Spirit Award-winning Garden State, as well as the critically acclaimed Reality Bites, Camp, Get Shorty, and its sequel, Be Cool. With her producing partner, Michael Schamberg, Stacey was honored by the ACLU for their commitment to films that deal with socially important issues, from public safety to education, social justice, and censorship. They were recipients of the 2007 Humanities Prize for the film Freedom Writers, starring Hilary Swank. Their film World Trade Center, which starred Nicolas Cage and was directed by Oliver Stone, was chosen for the 2006 Christopher Award, which was presented to the creators of films that affirm the highest values of the human spirit. Stacey was the recipient of the Women in Film Independent Vision Award in 2002. Also in 2002, Stacey was honored by the USC School of Cinematic Arts with the Mary Pickford Award for bringing special distinction to our school and our industry. An MFA graduate of the Peter Stark Producing Program, she is a member of the School of Cinematic Arts Alumni Council. And I should add that Stacey hasn't forgotten her SCA roots. Like many of you graduating students, she is using Kickstarter to fund one of her next projects, Garden State 2. Please join me in welcoming a distinguished member of the School of Cinematic Arts family, Stacey Sher.
Thank you. Thank you, Dean Daly, and thank you, Frank Price. Also, happy birthday, Frank Price. It's his birthday today. It's really an honor to be introduced by a man that is a true legend in film and television. Congratulations to the amazing Matt Weiner for being the recipient of the Mary Pickford Award. welcome parents and distinguished guests, and congratulations, class of 2013. I'm so incredibly honored to be here with you today and address you at your commencement from the finest school of cinematic arts in the world. Now, I say that fully biased. I was sitting where you guys are right now at the age of 22 in 1985, receiving my MFA from the Peter Stark Motion Picture Producing Program. Starkies, now that's your shout out. So many things have changed in the 28 years since I was sitting where you guys are now, both in the industry and at the university, especially the surroundings. When I started out, we were in the barracks. And the program was being run by the late and singular Art Murphy, and we would know whether it was going to be a good day or a bad day in class by how many cigarettes he stamped out during his lectures in his giant motorcycle boots. The next year, we moved into the new building, what we called the new building, before this extraordinary structure compound was put together by the dean. And he required that we all wear business attire, suits, ties, dresses, and he got an ashtray. But don't worry, Starkies. There's one thing that hasn't changed, and I still get asked this question, and all of you will when you make your first film. What does a producer do exactly? The answer to that question is different for each person, but for me, a producer makes their own reality. Here are some things that I don't see changing anytime soon, whether film's moving through a projector at the theater or we're looking at it through pixels and Google glasses. So Hollywood, the good news is Hollywood's a meritocracy. One of the most magical things about Hollywood is that for all the assertions of cronyism, it really is a system in which the most talented, capable, and hardworking people are promoted on the basis of those skills. I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Nobody in my family was in the entertainment business. I ended up in Los Angeles because I was a movie geek. My dad and I pretty much only got along when we were talking about films. We were that family that went to see Raging Bull over the family film that opened that weekend. And when I see a film now that knocks me out, it's like I go back somewhere else. It's like I'm that girl in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, who's walking home from the mall alone, having seen Star Wars, and I'm still in that galaxy far, far away. Or I'm that girl who saw Hal Ashby's Coming Home and had entered a world of adults and politics. Or I'm the girl that watched Clockwork Orange 20 times in 2 weeks on the Z channel. Maybe that explains my cinematic groove. But I really wanted to know everything that Stanley Kubrick was trying to show me in that film. Okay, you get it. I love movies and television, so do you. The point is, like most of you, I went out there into the world without any connections. So I worked like a dog, and I made my own. Get to know your peers. Matt Weiner talked about this. Treat them well. These people are your connections, not the people above you, but the people beside you. To make it in Hollywood, you won't so much climb a ladder as you'll cross a lattice, or as Sheryl Sandberg puts it, a jungle gym, jungle being the operative word. Reach out and make those lateral connections and treat everybody well. My first job in the industry when I left the Stark program was working on music videos. I worked on Twisted Sister, We're Not Gonna Take It video, and my big claim to fame was that I got Niedermeyer from Animal House to fly People's Express Airlines. That was sort of like Southwest is to a private jet. It's good that it doesn't exist anymore. Anyway, I was an assistant, but more responsibility flowed toward me because I never took no for an answer, and I made my own reality. A year later, I met an aspiring screenwriter named David Simpkins who wanted to make a movie with Twisted Sister. That never happened, but when he wrote his first spec script, Adventures in Babysitting, he gave it to me. And that script was a script that I gave my bosses at my temporary job. So when the studio bought it, my temporary job became a permanent job. I didn't get that job by finding a powerful mentor. I got it by finding a screenplay written by one of my peers. There'll be a class that you come up with in the business, not just those you're graduating with, but those who come from similar places with similar dreams. I was fortunate enough to meet an amazing group of writers and directors and producers, and we used to hang out together. We've worked together repeatedly through the years, and with them and through them, I developed my taste. Stanley Kubrick said taste was the most important thing a director has. Taste isn't something that can be taught, but it can be absorbed through hours and hours. Malcolm Gladwell's 10,000 hours, and you never stop learning it. It's not a skill set, it's not a craft, it's a sensibility. It's Roman Polanski framing John Cassavetes out of the shot when he's making a deal with the devil on the telephone. It's the retort that Jack Lemmon gives to the man he's just married at the end of Some Like It Hot. I'm a man, nobody's perfect. The second lobster scene in Annie Hall. I learned about great writing by reading hundreds and hundreds of great screenplays so that I could distinguish them from the hundreds of bad screenplays that I was reading at work. I spent countless nights at the New Beverly Cinema watching old movies by Hawks, Wilder, Hitchcock, Truffaut, and Coppola. My friends and I talked about those films for hours and hours afterwards, and we still do. I love being a part of a community of passionate artists, and I'm still seeking out like-minded peers who inspire me. While I was doing the Academy Q&As for Django this year, I became friendly with the team who produced Beasts of the Southern Wild. Okay, so they all went to NYU, and they're a lot closer in age to you guys than me, but I found them to be kindred spirits. They took the skills that they learned doing volunteer work on the Obama campaign and applied them to getting their film financed and made. They had an authentic voice, and they had a passion to share their voice. Many years ago, I was at a pivotal time in my career, and I was deciding whether or not I was going to take a job in New York, and a friend of mine introduced me to Warren Beatty. He casually asked me, "What films do you want to make?" So here's Warren Beatty, a man I idolize, a man who made Bonnie and Clyde and Shampoo and, and Reds. And I couldn't believe I was even in the same room with him. So trying to sound very sophisticated, I said, "I want to make various films." He looked at me and he said, "Various films? Do you want to marry various men and have various children?" Because that's the same level of commitment you have to your work. It reminded me of the moment in Reds when Maureen Stapleton asked Diane Keaton, "What do you want to write about?" Diane Keaton responds, "Everything." Maureen Stapleton shoots her a withering glare and says, "You write about everything?" You can't say everything. You have to say something. And at that moment, I realized I'd been given a great gift by one of my heroes. I'd been charged with the task of finding my voice, to have something to say. It's simple, right? Have something to say? All the great filmmakers have something to say. We may not like it. It may be hard to watch sometimes, but they all have something to say, something personal. Wow. Specific and important to them, something they care about deeply because they have to. Whether it was a truth they wanted to expose, a character they wanted to explore, or an idea they wanted to express, the work that made me fall in love with movies had something to say. So what have I said? What connects Django and Reality Bites, or Gattaca and Aaron Brockovich, or Get Shorty and Garden State and Pulp Fiction? I looked back at my career to try and make some sense of it so I can offer some guidance to all of you. And I realized that besides being an auteur groupie, I love fighters, dreamers, and survivors, characters who make their own reality. And I love seeing strong women up there on film. So when I look back at how I got here, I realized there was another person that had a tremendous influence on me. And that was Marlo Thomas in her television series, That Girl, which I watched religiously after school. Watching her character, Anne-Marie, make her way in the world in New York City without anybody, all on her own, gave me the idea that I could too. And it grew out of Marlo's passion to have her voice heard. When she went in to meet with the networks, she said to them, "Everybody on your network is either somebody's wife, somebody's daughter, or somebody's secretary. How about a show where the woman is somebody?" When I grew up in the 70s, there was no dichotomy between popular films and art films. The greatest filmmakers were making movies and taking people, mass audiences, to places they'd never been before, either emotionally or literally. The best of all did both. My mom and I still argue about the fact that she didn't keep her word and wait to see Jaws with me until I came home from summer camp. Imagine for a moment a movie today that you would be mad at your parent or your best friend or your significant other for seeing without you. Now imagine that there were 20 or 30 of those in a single year. This is why we need your voice now. I know it seems impossible. You guys are all thinking about how you're going to get jobs. But remember, you're storytellers, and you're emerging from a university with a great tradition of passionate, visionary storytellers. George Lucas, John Wells, Laura Ziskin, John Singleton, Jay Roach, Rianne Johnson, Scott Alexander, Larry Karaszewski, Steve Shabosky, Shonda Rhimes, and Matt Weiner. So with that mantle comes a responsibility. And I swear I didn't exchange notes with Matt on this, but don't chase the marketplace in pursuit of careerism. As William Goldman said, nobody knows anything. There's no perfect formula for critical or commercial success, or everything that gets greenlit would be a hit and an award winner. Failure's inevitable. It's part of the creative process. Thomas Edison said that it literally took him 1,000 tries to invent the light bulb. He didn't say he failed 1,000 times. He said the creation of the light bulb took 1,001 steps. So don't give up. And while you're at it, dare to be original and express yourself. Because for all of our technological advances, all the CGI, all the light and magic, no one knows how to make an authentic voice. They can't come out of a computer. Hard as anyone might try, it can't be done. But each and every one of you has it. All you have to do is listen. Beyond that, you have a skill set. The entertainment that you've been trained here to create in the best facilities by the best professors in the world is not going out of fashion anytime soon, even though how we make it, where we watch it, and when we watch it's changing every minute. We are in a time of tremendous change, and you can choose one of two options. You can see that as something to be afraid of, or you can embrace that change and see that it's a time of great opportunity. Sometimes people see things as breaking down. They're also an opportunity to break through. So embrace it, you guys. Ride the waves of uncertainty with passion, confidence, and faith, and be part of creating new paradigms. We are in this brave new do-it-yourself world, and anyone can pick up an HD Canon camera, edit on their Mac, and as we talked about before, crowd raise on Kickstarter, which I'm doing right now, not for Garden State 2, but for Zach Braff's follow-up to Garden State. And we've been joined by almost 40,000 people who want to see a film made in a new way. You guys have the tools. But how do you distinguish yourself in this crowded, competitive environment? Stories, human stories, draw the world closer to us and at the same time transport us. You guys are being entrusted to tell these stories, to show us what we can't see. You're the myth makers. You're the truth tellers. You're the ones who give hope to the hopeless. And we need you. The entertainment business needs you. We're watching. We're waiting. In fact, we are praying for you guys to show up. So get out there, class of 2013. We want to hear what you have to say. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Stacey.